YouTube's the answer for, fulfilling your own dreams of your own show if you want it.
You said, I've never been more scared in my entire life. And I don't think I've ever heard you say you were scared. And I've been in some really crazy situations with you before. And you're like, oh, it's minor. Just go for it.
Way we grew up in these conditions, it's very second nature. But for a lot of people, it's like out of this realm. Like, oh, yeah, sure. I could never do that.
Dude, we went heli skiing in an inflatable kayak.
Oh, got it.
So and it was the stupidest idea. It was actually like we all thought we were going to die this day.
Jackson, thanks for joining us. If you guys don't know who Jackson Lebsack is, he's one of the founding members of Sickos, and they are the viral YouTube sensation for action sports, I'd say. So thanks for coming on. We're psyched to talk to you.
Yeah, boys. Thank you so much. That's a hell of a title. I don't know if I've earned that one yet, but I appreciate it.
I think you guys have earned it.
You think so?
Especially. Yeah. Like all the videos that I've been able to watch and stuff has just been ridiculous. I mean, I think the last one you guys just posted where you're going off a giant ramp in the snow on a kayak or something was like pretty entertaining to watch. I mean, it all just is this cool adventure because you guys are traveling around the world and you're able to experience this stuff with, childhood friends. And I think everybody dreams of doing exactly what you guys are doing right now.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much. I feel like it's exactly like you say. It's the biggest dream come true for us. We were all just a bunch of kids that grew up in Hood River all together since we've been like this big, since kindergarten. And everybody grew up watching Who is J.O.B., watching what you were doing, watching what everyone, in the action sports world ahead of us was doing. And we were like, it was super inspired by it, and we're like, one day we got to do that. And then YouTube ended up being the answer and we kind of just went for it. And here we are. Now I'm sitting with you guys talking.
So good.
Yeah, that's so sick. And so I would be sick to hear about your come up on YouTube because maybe not a lot of people know, but you were really instrumental in taking Jamie O'Brien's vlog to the next level. When did you first get linked up with him?
Yeah, that's a super interesting story that also you guys are kind of connected to. I was out here actually shooting a documentary for the Spencer brothers. Jeff and Finn.
Oh, actually, I remember that.
Yeah. And I like followed them on a tour with Caden, actually, who's also a member of Sickos. Me and him were filming this documentary about the Spencer boys, and we were like following them all through Maui. We went and did the M2O and did everything. We met briefly on that trip.
I remember that.
And then
because they were spending a lot of time in Hood River, and that's how you guys got connected.
Exactly.
I think their foil sponsor at the time was based there too.
Yep. They were based there. And then Henry, their dad, was like kind of becoming family friends with my family. So he ended up hiring me to do this project, and it was super sick. That's kind of right when I was starting my film career. And so it was like a big opportunity for me to come and do kind of a dream project a bit. And then on that tour, not only did we meet, but I also met Kai's filmer at the time, still maybe your filmer, Ryan.
No, he just lives by us now.
Well, Ryan?
No, it's not that I don't want him to film. He just chooses not to film me anymore.
No. Yeah, I talked to him about this the other night. Yeah, he was like, yo, I'm over filming.
He was a really good, not to change the subject, but he was a really good water cinematographer and drone flyer and everything. And then he just decided he didn't want to do it anymore, which is fair enough. So
fair enough.
But he's still like, he still lives on my parents' property in our Ohana, so it's like
we see him every day.
We see him every day. We just hang out. We just don't film with each other, but we just hang out.
Well, Ryan, yeah, I mean, good thing he stopped filming because he ended up giving me the job of my life, maybe because he was over filming, which was anyway. Met Ryan through that same project, and then he was like, he got a call up from Jamie O'Brien, I guess, one day, and Jamie asked Ryan if he wanted to come film for the vlogs. And I don't know why, because me and Ryan had met maybe once or twice. Ryan calls me up and he's like, dude, I got this job opportunity from Jamie and I want to give it to you. And I was like, dude, no way. Like Jamie was like our biggest inspo as kids. He was I watched Who is J.O.B. since, I was in high school all the way through. And it was like an inspo for us. We were building slip and slides because of him that were just like, this big. And so when I got the job to go and film for him, I was like, wow, this is like everything's starting to work for my dream career of being an action sports filmmaker, you know? And that kicked off everything, was the start of Jamie.
So sick.
So sick. And then, and you pretty much just went straight into it too, because everybody knows being Jamie O'Brien's filmer is an intense thing. I mean, he's just doing the craziest stuff. You're kind of on all the time. What was that like, sort of going from your life before and all of a sudden you're on the North Shore, you know, at the Jamie house, and all this crazy stuff's happening?
Yeah, that part of it's super cool because I was such a big fan of surfing too at the time. And I was like, but I like never really had the opportunity to do it. And so also opening up the door to like go work with him was also like, oh my God, I'm actually going to live in the mecca of surfing and live on the pipe house that's like right there and really get to learn the sport that I've always been so fascinated by. But yeah, on top of that, it was like, he is an absolute workhorse. The dude is like so gnarly and works so hard. And it was really inspiring to see too. Like, you know, like seeing how Who is JOB came together was because of that dude's mentality and the way he works. And like, I mean, I showed up on the job and it was instantly, I remember like the first day I got there, I had never filmed vlogs before, and he like kind of assumed that I did, I think. And we just went to the beach. He's like, I gotta film this end card. I didn't even know what an end card was.
You're just like,
and
put
I'm
your
like,
camera up.
I'm like, okay, like, you want me to get like some B-roll or like, what do you mean? And he's like, no, just film. And I just like click the button and hold it. And then he just starts doing his spiel, like hit the site counter, subscribe, more videos, you know? And I was like, oh, okay. And that was like my first interaction with Jamie. It was like right there. And then from that point on, I mean, it was 2 videos a week, every single week.
Were you editing too?
Editing and filming everything.
Super intense.
So it was super
Where
gnarly.
were you living? You weren't with him. You were somewhere else?
I was living at the Red Bull house right there. You got Jamie's house that's on like the walkway, you know, and then Mikko's house.
Oh,
the Red
wow.
So I was in old OG Mikko's place.
OG one. That's
and then
nuts.
3 months into the job, my buddy Justin ends up joining too. And that was a crazy coincidence because he ended up getting hired for this film project that I ended up winning a long time ago. It was the ski.com dream job thing where I got hired to like go around and film for all these ski resorts. Justin was a runner up and we both linked on that job. And then coincidentally, he got hired by Jamie. So we were already acquainted.
You didn't even talk to him. He just
didn't
showed
even
up.
talk. He just showed up one day and I'm like, Justin.
That's so sick.
And then we became like best friends through that job. And we lived together at Mikko's house and filmed for Jamie. Yeah, 2 videos a week, every single week, trading off edits. And he was helping film telephoto. I was the drone guy mainly. And dude, it was an absolute grind. He was like surfing pipe every single day, all day. And we're just sitting there freaking getting the shot.
That's
you know?
pretty cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was sick. Yeah, it was magical, man.
Yeah,
How long did that last for?
It was, I was there for 2.5 years. So I went and
every week, just
dude, every week. And I think he only backed off toward the tail end. He switched to 1 video a week, I think. And that was, super towards the end. And the team started to get a little more built out towards the end. We hired an editor named Alex and he took editing. And then all we had to do was film.
Was that way
sick.
easier?
Way easier. But that was only for like my last 3 months, I think, if I remember right. So majority was editing. But I was also stoked on it because it was like, I don't know, man. It was like you make that many videos a week, you get so much better quick.
For sure.
And
You're like constantly, and you get your templates and everything. And
yeah, for sure.
And just having a platform like that, I feel like you're able to really test things and see exactly how things, you know, how well they work. Because sometimes if you're just a small account just starting, sometimes you could put out an amazing video, but if it just doesn't get that little jump start, it will never do good. And then maybe years later when you are big, that same video would have done insane. Totally. So it's like you got that instant feedback by having that sort of giant platform to work off of, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like, it was really like this just absolute content producing machine that he was running. And it was really cool to see and how he worked and how driven he was to just make it happen on a, weekly basis and never miss a video. He was like so on it about it and so on it with us. And it was like such a scheduled thing. Now with Sickos, we're like, oh, we try to post every 10 days. Sometimes it's 2 weeks, like we had some flexibility in there, but like he really introduced to me the YouTube world, which is what Sickos is now, really inspired because of him. So it's really interesting. It was like, Who is JOB was what we grew up watching as a kid. I go to work for him. Then he shows me, YouTube, and I work for him and see that he was able to transition Who is JOB to his own platform on YouTube. And then I was like, oh my God, this is like what we could do one day. Is like YouTube's the answer for, fulfilling your own dreams of your own show if you want it.
For sure.
And that was the key, was seeing the ins and outs. And I started my own channel at the time while I was doing it with Jamie. I started releasing like camera reviews, and then I transitioned a little bit into just like daily life in Hawaii vlogs. And so, and then from there left the job. And then that was the beginning of Sickos. Was like, all right, boys, I think we can do this, It's the time.
Wait, so was it scary, sort of leaving that big platform that was Jamie's and then starting a brand new channel,
for
zero
sure.
subscribers?
You're like, okay, we got to build this all up.
Like, that's pretty darn.
But you understood the formula probably by then.
I mean, yes and no. What was really funny about Jamie, and I can tease him a bit about this now that I do YouTube full time, was he was so not into the analytics. I realized, like, he was not really looking at retention and like click through rate and all this stuff that intensely. Like, he was more just like making vids and pumping them out, which I think is a totally fair tactic.
People kind of were attracted to him because he already had established himself in the surf world, like Jamie O'Brien.
For sure.
So he had a following kind of already.
I think he had his thing, and I think he had his own formula of doing it, which wasn't super analytical in terms of what YouTube tells you. But like, now that we run our own channel, we're like freaking, moving all the pieces around, trying to, and it's cool.
You guys are constantly seeing like, oh, this video right here didn't do better. Like, how can we adjust? And
exactly.
Smart.
So honestly, Jamie showed that YouTube is possible, but I didn't learn much about the ins and outs of it from the job, oddly enough, if that makes sense. Like, I didn't learn.
You just got better at the craft.
I got better at the craft, editing, and understanding how maybe a YouTube video should look, but like, didn't really learn much about like title thumbnails and retention and all this like nerdy YouTube stuff that actually matters a lot.
That does matter.
And so, it was interesting. But I mean, to answer your question, like, super scary. Obviously, you start anything new, it's always like horrifying. But I think it's such an important mentality to have, of like, it's so much better and so much scarier if it's so much better to try and go for whatever you have a dream of. I mean, you guys are programmed the same way. If you have an aspiration, there's nothing scarier than not trying it, because then it's for sure never going to work. But if you've got a dream and a vision to go for it, at least you're giving yourself a chance. You know what I mean? And if you never do it, it's never going to happen. So that was like the mindset that I've kind of always been programmed to work on. And it was just another one of those things. I think I was lucky. I had proved to myself in past jobs that like things were working out by just kind of going for it. So let's do it again.
Yep.
And you got to go all in. It's not a half-ass thing. It's 120%. If you're going to do it, give it your all. And I don't know. You see other people do it. Why can't you? No, we're all just human. So that's a mindset.
It's a full-time job though, doing YouTube, like that level. Like it's pretty unforgiving, I would say. Cause if a video doesn't pop off, it's like, I just did all that work. It's just as much work to do a dud as it is to do a really good one. I mean, it hurts. Could be under circumstances, right? Like for us, it's like any big wave content is just shoo-in, but and then it could also get old really quick if it's the same wave, and I think, someone who does maybe the opposite of what you guys do in a way is like Nathan Florence's vlog, because
for sure.
Yeah.
He doesn't edit. I watched him edit his vlogs in 10 minutes. He just uploads, puts a couple little like titles, doesn't change the original font, barely knows how to use Premiere, right? And then uploads it. But where he's going, he goes to the edges of the earth to find the slabs. And, when I was with him, we went to Namibia and we also went to J-Bay in South Africa. So it was like a really, really far trip, obviously. But his content, where he's going, and it's really raw. So it's like a different style. So you kind of got to like pick your style, right?
Dude, it's all stylistic. And like, there's honestly nothing to say about one being better than the other. Because some people genuinely prefer the way Nathan's videos are. And like, you can totally get to know him and his crew through it. And it's just like straight up, you're going to get a lot of surfing. If you want to watch a lot of surfing, Nathan's going to give it to you. Sickos, dude, we're like 20 minutes of talking and maybe 2 minutes of action. But we figured out our formula for what's working for us. And it's like, it's an interesting thing because I don't know, you can take it your own way, and Nathan's got his twist, we got ours, and you guys got yours. It's cool.
Just interesting. Yeah. Like because your guys' editing is like so top notch, what people pay, big brands pay a lot of money for. You got the like opening graphics and all that stuff. And then there's Nathan is just camcorder, you know, and it's like a camcorder from 6 years ago. I love it though. It's like, I like both, but for me personally, I'd be like, gosh, it'd be great to have that like production value.
Sure.
But I think you have to do that on your own. Like in order to pay for that for every video, I think you'd go bankrupt.
You got to get Ryan out of the house.
And Ryan's too expensive now.
Yeah. So what were those early videos you guys put out? What was your expectations? Was it like, okay, these are insane videos, they're going to pop off, this is going to be the start? Or was it like, we got to expect low views and just kind of start grinding it out? Because, you know, it's only a matter of time before you do it. It's scary not knowing how long it's going to take before one actually pops,
Totally.
you know?
Yeah. You know, I think that's a super good question. I think if I remember right, it was a lot of talking together and being like, we're going to expect the worst, you know, like there's no way things go good at the start. And like anything you ever start, any entrepreneurship, anything you ever go for, it's like, how's it going to be good in a year? You know, you got to give it more, or at least try for a year. And I think that was the mantra we ran off. I was lucky because I started my own YouTube channel and I understood a little bit of how growth looked and worked with my own channel. And then I was able to push a little bit of my initial tracks from my channel to Sickos right away. I just started like hammering out the plugs. I was like, we're starting a new channel. Go check out Sickos. Go check out Sickos. So I got us a little bit of an initial boost to subscribers.
How many subscribers did you have on your personal?
On my personal, I had like 40,000. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah,
That's
it was cool. It was cool. And then I was able to push that to Sickos, and I think I got 10,000 people.
That's pretty good.
That's
right
really
when we
good.
started, which
Yeah.
is like,
You weren't at just like dangling at a couple
exactly.
hundred.
I was like, boys, this is huge. And the guys didn't, I don't think, really fathom how big that was, because under 10K on YouTube is tough. It's really hard. It's like the grindiest part. And then it seems like once you start to get past that, your videos start to get opened up to more and more and more.
Momentum.
So it was really helpful to have like at least a little bit of an initial surge right there. But I mean, I think our first video was called The Origin Story, and it was a film that like told the story of who we were and where we were from, and it was really cinematic, kind of documentary style, introducing this idea. And that one actually did pretty good, I think, because it was like so produced, and like it was like our launch video that we marketed really hard. I think it got like 50K first vid, which was sick. And that was like no YouTube planning or anything. That was just like pre-marketing stuff. And I think there was a lot of hype built with like me leaving Jamie and then my channel pushing to, you know, so I think there's a lot of that. And then it got shared through the town a bit and all that stuff.
And Hood River is just
Hood River's
an
small,
action
sports
town,
center, you know. And then I think our next video to follow did like 20K, and then the next one to follow.
What was those
did
early
10.
videos? What were you
Dude,
guys?
so jank and so random. Like if I go look at them now,
I was
it's
just
so
looking
tough.
at 'em.
Dude, it's so funny. They're
But
like,
what was it? Like what was
let's see, like our first video was called like, and this is so fried. Like now looking at it, I could think of a million better titles, but I think it was something like human parachuting off cliffs or something.
What would you
And
call it now?
Now I would. That's such a hard one, dude. You got to make it digestible. It's like
Were you
the
guys
thing.
on a
And
kite?
yes, we were on a kite. So we climbed these cliffs on kites, and we were cliff jumping with kites.
Oh, I
basically.
remember that.
And like
Yeah.
honestly, maybe that's a better title: cliff jumping with kites. Honestly,
Right.
you just got to make it
pretty
digestible. But we did
catchy,
like
yeah.
human parachuting off cliff. What the fuck is that? So it was like, it was a total.
You're like base jumping?
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, and like, so I think that was the beginning of like starting to understand how this works. But yeah, you can go look at all those first ones, and then I think our next video was like slip and slide off a cliff, and it was like just not that cool. I think was part of the problem, and we tried to like build it up to be cool. And I think like the biggest thing I've learned with YouTube is like you got to have a good concept that people want to watch. You got to deliver on the concept that you're promising, and then you got to over deliver. Like give them something that they click for, and then give them some more.
Right.
You know,
right.
and that's like this winning formula. And at the start, yeah, we had none of that. So there's just these first videos, and they were much more like episodic. We had this original vision of like making it like a TV show. That was like the dream. I did not want to be a YouTuber. I wanted to be like an MTV show. You know what I mean? There's
Like
this
drop a
difference.
season, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Like it was like this vision of like, I never liked vlogs. I never liked the title of being a vlog filmmaker. I wanted to be I wanted to make stuff like Who is J.O.B., you know, and it was like, that was the dream. I wanted to be looked at as that sort of filmmaker. And I think all the boys shared that same vision. So at the start, it was like super production quality, a lot of action. And frankly, that was to our fault because none of us are pro athletes. If you want to go watch pro athletes, you can type in Kai and Ridge Lenny and go watch you guys charge the gnarliest fucking big waves. Why would they want to watch the Sickos charge a 10-foot version of that, you know, when you guys are doing 100-foot?
I think there's a relatability though too. Like what I like about your guys' videos is it just feels so, you know, it's like you guys are pushing your limits. And I always liked what the saying in big wave surfing was, is like big waves are relative.
Sure.
Right.
So
Yeah,
like,
sure.
Yeah.
But
Sure.
I'm just in general. And most people, like, you know, whether we like it or not, the way we grew up in these conditions, it's very second nature. But for a lot of people, it's like out of this realm, like, oh yeah, sure, I could never do that. And so it's so much like I've been experiencing this a little bit with like learning how to, you know, design and shape and do all these like different CAD programs.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoy the videos where it's just some dude that is just like backyard giving me the details because it's like relatable. And I'm like, oh, if they could do it, I could do it, you know? And like,
Yeah.
You connect
but you
with
guys
them.
are actually really good athletes too.
Well, thank you. I
Maybe
appreciate
not on a professional level as a career, but
Right.
like still crazy good at skiing and kiteboarding and all that.
sure.
So,
it. Thank you. And
but there's a relatability is my point, which is really cool.
Which I definitely don't want to downplay the importance of, because I think that's where we found success actually, is the relatability of it. But where I was driving with it originally was like our early videos were all about the action.
Yeah.
And it was too much about the action. It was like you were watching these above average athletes do sports. And it was this feeling of like this realization of, why would you watch above average when you can go watch the best in the world? We got to make this about us and relatable, make it about the characters. So exactly what you say, relatability is the biggest part of it that we've discovered, but that actually comes through your character and who you are as a person. So that's why our videos have changed so much from going, actually, I owe a lot of credit to Casey Neistat. You know him, that YouTube guy.
Amazing.
He was awesome. I was able to meet him through Jamie, and he's been a bit of a mentor for us in the back end. I got on the phone with him one day, early days of Sickos, and he was like, dude, you got to make it about the characters. And that right there, the whole thing flipped. And it was like, we just started, it was when we moved to Hawaii. It was season 2 of Sickos, back when we were branding seasons like a TV show. We moved to Hawaii. We got a house on the North Shore, and we started making it about the characters. And all of a sudden, people started to see who Forrest was, and that he was kind of this grumpy kid that talks like this. And they started to relate to him, and he was the guy that we'd always pick on. And then, like, you started to get to know me. You started to get to know Max, who was the kid that didn't grow up doing any sports. And he was, you know, the unathletic one that everybody related to. And Max is like, he's the gold of the channel because, dude, that was like the biggest unlock for us. This guy connects to everybody.
Yeah.
That's like our biggest thing is like, sure, you go watch a video of us go maybe kiteboarding in the Arctic or something, and everyone's like, whoa, what the hell? This is crazy that they're doing that. But then Max goes and tries, and he's like, can't, you know? And he adds this level of relatability where everyone's like, I would be that guy.
And,
you know?
and his reaction,
cool.
I feel like when I'm watching the videos, I'm always waiting for his reaction. He has the best
He's a
reactions
character,
and
too.
like
He's funny.
the 100-foot kayak jump. It was just gold. Him freaking out about it.
Oh,
and
he's
being
just like, how did I
terrified,
get myself into
Oh
this?
yeah,
mess?
he's always the one like most scared, you know, or maybe he's never experienced anything like it.
But
so
it makes
like,
you feel that
makes you
too.
feel
like
it,
I
and
feel like I have his same nerves going into the jump. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like it brings us back down to earth because we've grown up doing action sports our whole life. So there's a little bit of that, those emotions that you're jaded on, I think. But you get a guy like Max that expresses it, and you're like, oh my God, this is kind of what it feels like at least in the early days. And and so he shines through a lot. And but exactly what you were saying, like the relatability aspect of it is the biggest thing. It was just a matter of shifting the content to focus on the relatability, not the action. And I think that's one of the biggest faults of, honestly, a lot of professional athletes trying to do YouTube and social media stuff. There's so much that like the shit you guys do is so insane that it's so beyond people's minds, which I think is like a key to success. Is like, you're either the best in the world or you're just below it. And then you have like,
it's hard to keep on like,
you know,
delivering, because a lot of it is like condition dependent. You're only as good as the wave allows you to be. And if if you're not on the biggest waves or the gnarliest waves or the most barreling waves, you're just like, you know, try to manufacture it in smaller stuff. And unless it's like brand new and no one's ever seen it, You know, it's kind of like wingfoiling, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, when it first started, we could go out there and do a backflip or a front flip.
Yeah. And feel
Now there's kids doing like 1440 spins. And it's just like in skiing and snowboarding where people can't relate to just like mindless spinning.
Dude,
in a way,
yeah.
even though we know, wow, that is really gnarly and
So technical.
super sick.
Yeah.
But then you see they get like 3 comments. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, if you posted that like, you know, when we started 2019, I guess it was, you would have had like hundreds of comments and, you know, thousands of views, maybe a million views.
Totally.
Yeah, I've seen this trend so clearly on the TikTok side of things. When I first started, it was like you just post, you go straight down a big wave.
Yeah.
Does insane.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I feel like it's me surfing a knee-high wave or doing a foil dock start. Somehow the relatability makes it do better. And I'd get like a barrel at Jaws and I'm super psyched on posting on TikTok and it flops.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell's going on here?
Barrels are done saturated.
barrels
Unless it's a new
like-
spot like Nathan. You know?
Yeah.
There's it's even the river waves now.
Dude, river waves are over. It's like,
It's
yeah,
done.
it's tough. I mean, I think it's still pop, but like,
It's sick. I
just-
think it's sick.
It's got to be a different approach, is what it is, and I think that's everything. It's like Nathan's killing it because he's branded this slab tour that he's going on this crazy adventure to all these different places. Follow along. We're gonna get some sick waves too, and there's this level of like, as a surfer, you're like, holy shit, he's gonna find misto waves. That part's really
Everyone
cool.
dreams of a
Everyone
secret
dreams of
wave,
finding your
yeah.
own waves, and he's like branded this dream that I think we as surfers like always, you know, have dreamed of. And so that's like a really good avenue that he took with surfing. And I think that there's like plenty of ways to do it with big wave and with everything. And it's just interesting. It's like all about how you shine the light on what you're doing. And for us, it was like, yeah, we're not really good enough to like make this about the sport that we're doing. So let's just try to make it fun, relatable, and about who we are as characters. And at the end of the day, I think like we want to, everybody had a friend group growing up. And I think that like we try to embody that and show that like in the rawest form. You know, we just roll our camera, hip on the shoulder, like it's rolling. It's as authentic as it gets. There's no acting at all. It's like everybody's who they are.
So sick.
I think, go ahead.
I mean, it's just like I think where we got lucky is the channel kind of gives you this emotion. Some dude told me this the other day. I thought it was really cool. He said, your channel makes people that are over 20 want to be in their 20s again, and people that are younger than 20 want to be 20.
Yeah.
So we're lucky because it feels like we're grabbing this big pool of people that are able to relate to having a friend group and doing stupid shit with their buddies. And that's what it was about for us, not about the sport. But there's so many avenues to take with it. And that's not to say that, freaking being the best in the world, the stuff you guys do is like an avenue that most people can never, be lucky enough to have. And the fact you guys have it puts you above a whole nother level, which is like, there's all these different avenues to take. And that is one. It's like, so.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, though, I think what you said about it being about the characters is so important. And I think it's important to remember too. And I just noticed it by hanging out with you guys and even before the channel really exploded, is that you guys are just characters in of yourselves. And the dynamic within the group is so good. Like, I think the last time I was in Hood River, maybe at the time before, but it was like 2021. You guys were probably like 4 or 5 videos in.
Yeah.
It's doing well, but not what it is today. And just hanging out, like not even, the cameras weren't even on. And just seeing Will just trolling everybody and just like, it was as if I was watching, like you guys were able to capture now what that felt like, literally being with you guys.
That's cool.
It feels really authentic. And I think if you took any other group of friends, I don't know, and if they didn't have the personalities that you guys have and the dynamic, I don't think it would work. I think it's so much about the personalities and just being so natural in yourselves on camera.
But there's something to be said about it too, because when we started, dude, if you go back and watch the first videos, I think I'm given 90% of the audio, because I was the only one that was kind of media trained through Jamie and through my own channel. And then it started to shift right about it when we moved to Hawaii. Everyone started to get more comfortable. So this is like another inspiring thing to say.
How'd you get everyone on board? Like hey,
we could talk about kind of origin of origin.
Yeah, like how did you like, hey guys, should we start a YouTube? And everyone's like, yeah, let's do it.
So we got lucky, and I think a lot of this is a lot of things in life you want to try our timing, right? And I just had got done with Jamie. I moved home and it was summer in Hood River, and summer in our hometown is like the best place on earth. Everyone that we grew up with always comes back from college to go home for summer. So all the boys were back in town, and we got a crew of like 20 of us, and only 6 of them are the common characters seen in the YouTube channel. And that's because we all sat down, all like 20 of us were like, let's try making Sickos a show. And we all committed to making Sickos a week. I think we were doing 2 episodes a week all through summer because everyone was home. There was no risk, right? We were going to be there anyway. Let's just start. So everybody was like down. They're like, all right, yeah, what's the risk? We're not giving anything up. We're here for summer. Let's see how it goes. So that was the initial commitment, was like, just show up. We're filming 2 videos a week. And all those first videos, you'll see there's a crew of like 15 boys. No one knows who's who. It's a shit show. But it was a start. And I think that's like an important thing, is you just got to start sometimes. So everyone committed to starting over the summer, and then summer wrapped up, and this was where it showed like who was willing to kind of take the risk. And that's why it got whittled down to just the 6 that you guys know today, which is me, Caden, Max, Charlie, Forrest, and Will. And that's because those 6 were the ones that were like, I mean, Charlie was like a year or a semester away from graduating with an engineering degree. Bailed it.
Way.
No,
Oh my God.
Will was about to go to college. He's younger than us. I think it was his first year in. Bailed it. Caden bailed it.
What did all the parents think of you? After this?
Yeah, were they nervous?
Pretty supportive, honestly.
Oh, good.
It was cool.
Good.
I mean, we're
guess
all
you
lucky
could always
to grow
go
up.
back to it.
Exactly. I think there was this mindset of like, you can go back to this. What are you missing? Why not try? We've seen a little success in 3 months of trying this for a summer. Like, it's starting to move. Like, let's give it I think
And now there's enough to support all you guys. Like,
yeah. It's been a big scale and a long process, but it's there. And I think, every single one of them made a sacrifice. Max is the oldest one of the crew, and he like quit his job and went for it. And we didn't grow up with Max. He was like new to the crew.
Did you just meet him at a coffee shop? Be like, you want to be in our video?
Dude, his dad owned the shop that is our like headquarters. And
oh, really? What kind of shop?
It's like a little warehouse, but it's where we've got like all our Sickos. It's our Sickos office now. It's got editing and the podcast set up and everything. And Max's
good overhead.
dad, yeah, just a little bit. Max's dad owned the place, and freaking one day he was like in the back area of the shop, and the boys were like, yo, dude, we're going to blow some shit up with fireworks. You want to come? They saw him, and he was like, yeah, sure. And then from then on, it was a history.
He's like, I'll just keep hanging out.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. He kept hanging out, and then he was living in Seattle at the time. Long story short, we ended up inviting him to come. He knew how to film and edit, and he's one of the filmers and editors as well with me and Caden. And he ended up committing full time, moved to Hawaii with us. And so anyway, 6 of us moved there. After summer's over, it's like, all right, it's time to actually like sacrifice. Are you willing to do it? Most the boys were not, which rightfully so. It wasn't really anything. And 6 of us were. We went for it, and it was the best decision we ever made. I mean, 3 years later, it's like you said, we're lucky enough to have it be fully support. I mean, we got a lot of work to do, dude. We got 6 guys on the channel. We're traveling full time. It's a super expensive thing, but
it costs a lot. But
it costs a lot.
Spend money to make money.
Got to spend money to make money, and we've seen the graph only go up, and we hope that it only keeps going that way. And if it does, we're doing this for so much more than monetary success and whatever than that. The life we're getting to live and everything, and have these times with our friends, is like all you could ever dream of. Yeah. But I mean, you got to be realistic at some point too. And there's that aspect where we're like, holy shit, boys, it's starting to go. We still got a lot of work to do, like I said, but we're cruising, so we're pumped, man.
How did you get the name Sickos?
Hey, that's a funny one. Middle school, I think we're all in 6th, 7th grade, back when Snapchat era was popping off. And we had a Snapchat group chat, and Charlie just renamed the group chat out of the blue to Sickos. And from then on,
probably
the name
sick
stuck.
Stuff on there.
Yeah, it was middle school, dude. Yeah, I don't even remember.
Would you expect anything less? Not really.
No. But that was it. It's kind of an uneventful story, actually, and I don't know how the name stuck so as hard as it did.
So it wasn't. You didn't come up with it when for some reason I assumed you just were thinking of channel names, and you're like.
No, see, and that was
I was surprised it wasn't taken already, honestly.
That part was a trip. We bought it for $100 off some Aussie kid that had the Instagram handle at Sickos, and he was like, sure, I'll sell it to you for $100. So we got that. The YouTube channel wasn't there. And then, we were all sussed out on the name at the start, because like that word's kind of gnarly, and it like could have a double meaning. And people were telling us not to go with it, and we were like trying to come up with channel names, but then we're like, everything felt inauthentic. So we just went for it.
Sickos, though, it's like I don't know. You could look at it like you're either a sicko or we're doing like sick stuff, you know?
We tried to rebrand the word and, hopefully
I think
some
it
people
worked.
think.
But just the fact that there is that ambiguity makes you interested, makes you want to click on the video, Like,
Yeah.
you want to find out, are these guys, what kind of sickos are they?
Of all the places you've gone, could be recent or, on this adventure, is there like one place that just blew your mind where you're just like, wow, I cannot believe I'm here right now? And was there something that you encountered you couldn't have expected and you couldn't even experience on YouTube, unless you were there? You're like, oh, wow.
Totally. Yeah, we've been so lucky to go to so many places through this job. It's been like an incredible experience through the travel we've been able to have. And I think probably number one place that's coming to mind, and I'll be interested to hear your guys' take on this place, is the Azores.
That place looks sick. I've never been
was
yet, but
just the most magical trip I can remember in Sickos era, because it was like a year into doing what we were doing. And it was I think it was the first like international trip we did for the business. And we just pretty much spun the globe and saw these islands. And we're like, this looks pretty interesting. Maybe there's surfing, maybe there's kiting. Let's just bring everything and go film videos here. And we showed up and it was just like the sickest, most misto place ever. Like no tourism, nothing. I'd never heard of it. I'd never known anyone that has been there. And we were just like making vids, all as friends, kind of realizing
what led
this
you
dream
there?
was
Like,
here.
let's go to the Azores.
Charlie, I think, had heard about it from our surf or for something or from a friend. And that was all that I knew. And I think he was just like, we should stop because it's halfway to Europe. And we also wanted to go to Europe after.
So you took a flight from New York, or
Yeah, I think it was Boston direct, straight to the
really?
Azores. It was chill.
Wow.
It was like
there's a
here to
lot of-
Boston, Boston
You can
there.
go Boston to like Cape Verde and all those.
wow.
Like,
Yeah,
it's weird how Boston's like a major
It's a
hub for those little islands. Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, we showed up there and it was like just the most surreal, magical little. It's like, I don't know, it's such a hidden gem of the planet, and it was so cool. So that one comes to mind. Like funnily enough, Bali, which I was shitting on so hard before I went there because I thought it was like the most blown out place ever. But then I went and I was like, this is the sickest place ever.
There's a reason why it's kind of blown out.
So sick. It was so sick.
when did you guys go?
Last year, I think last
year, okay.
April,
Okay.
last August, maybe. Yeah, just
Was that in
magical
connection
zone.
to your barrel?
Yeah,
trying to get barreled.
we
video?
went to the Ments before
Are you gonna
Bali.
have like
Bali off.
a try to get barreled again, but get barreled better?
Yes, we
video?
gotta get way more barreled, dude. That video honestly sucks. If you go watch it, we don't get that barreled at all. But
It was pretty entertaining though.
yeah,
like,
I mean, try to make it fun
the thing is, I always feel like the easiest barrels are bigger, heavier barrels because they throw so wide.
Totally.
So if you can either get towed in or just navigate a drop or go someplace with a chip shot, like the bigger waves are way easier. It's trying to get barreled on a small wave is so hard.
It's so hard.
If you don't know how to
Yeah.
read it and stall and have all this control,
Right.
like just go to Chopes. Like I told you guys in the beginning, I was
we
like,
were thinking of going there. That was like, it was either there or the Mets.
get
And then
towed
we're
into
like,
a 20-footer.
yeah, we were talking to you about that video, right?
Yeah.
And you were telling us Chopes, and we're like, oh.
Well, I was like Tahiti. I was like, I mean, it's really heavy, but it's every wave barrels.
Yeah,
Kind of want to go somewhere where you're like, okay,
Yeah, sure.
it's gonna barrel.
It's gonna do
Ments
it.
was hard to beat for sure, but it also depends on
It depends
when
on the
you're there.
swell and when you're there. And that
And
was
where
the
you're
thing. It was a
there.
brand deal, so we had to go for the time. So we just made that video work. Like, I think like a couple of the boys actually got sick ones that weren't even on camera.
Oh, no.
So we had to make these janky ones like work for the storyline.
It's pretty
and it
hard
did, and it
sometimes.
was
You always miss the best
Dude,
wave
for
you
sure.
got.
it
It's
always works
super
like
hard.
that.
You're just like, oh, it's changing batteries, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I waited 6 hours for that wave.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's a little bit of a nod to the importance of like storytelling in a way. Like,
Totally.
it wasn't even the way like, any surfer that watches that is like, these guys are fucking kooks, which is like totally fair. But any youth, like our audience is freaking mostly from, cities all over the globe, and they're like, oh wow, I really felt that moment when he went through the white water and kind of came out. Like they think it's a barrel, and it's like it's because we drew the story out to make it feel like it was this hard challenge, and then as long as it hits, and whatever.
Yeah. What about? All right, go ahead.
No, yeah, that's it.
What about Serbia? That's got to be one of the most
Jesus,
random
boys,
places.
Serbia.
What was it like going to Serbia?
Oh, Serbia! Do not go to Serbia.
Why?
I'll
Why?
tell
What's
you,
the red flags?
dude? I am not the type of person to like ever say you shouldn't go somewhere, to be honest. Like, I think you can find beauty in every single place in this world, but I don't know if I can say that about Serbia.
Why? What was up with it?
It was cool solely for the fact it was so different. It was like so communist, like nuts, like showed up there and like crazy billboards of Russian military and
danger.
No, not necessarily. And the people were super cool and nice actually, but it was just like if I had to spend my own money to go to Serbia, I'd have been so bummed. It was like this gray city that looked like it was in the midst of warfare still, because it kind of always is.
Oh my gosh.
And it was like pretty ghetto and just flat. It was like if you went on a freaking international trip to Oklahoma. You know, you're like,
whose idea was it to go to Serbia?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
It might have been mine because
was there a sponsor or something?
No. So this is where our YouTube minds have shifted. This is kind of an interesting thing, is like, we've learned that to make a good YouTube video, it is all about the concept. You come up with the concept and then you film the video. You don't film and then figure it out. You start with like an idea and figure out how to package it. And so an idea that everyone wanted to do was, we visited the country with the most beautiful girls. And Serbia was always in the top 5 lists. And originally, I think it was a different spot that we wanted to go. And that spot looked really bad. So, it was Latvia was the other spot. Yeah. And I was like, dude, Latvia looks really lame. Let's go to Serbia. Turns out Serbia wasn't much better.
So you didn't see one girl there?
No, there was, but that video concept just didn't pan out. We showed up and it was just like, what are we doing? This is weird. Like, are we just really going to be those guys that go around like, hey, like saying what up to everyone? So we kind of had to pivot. And I think we ended up titling that video "Americans Go to Serbia," which did really well.
Yeah, people would be like,
did really well. Yes.
You should do one like Americans Go to Afghanistan.
You got to go to the next level.
I know. Well, that was the idea with Uzbekistan. But
the craziest thing about, not to pivot, but like, you guys are really accomplished skiers and stuff, but the skiing in Afghanistan's like, I heard like 9 out of 10, some of the best in the world.
Hey, really? Who'd you hear this from?
Oh, I just watched videos about it. I've talked to like a bunch of pros and stuff, but the problem is like
heavy.
The Taliban and Al Qaeda or whatever, and then ISIS. But if you're willing to take the risk,
no, they're chill,
for the video.
Those guys
maybe if you just like, I don't know. No, you know what? There was a movie about kayakers going through, it might have been Pakistan.
Yeah, Pakistan.
Some of the best whitewater in the world is in Afghanistan, Pakistan, all those stands. And I think they ended up getting kidnapped or something.
No way.
I don't know if one died or what. I think they but I don't know. I mean, the first person to like do a cork 7 off like a wind lip over there could go viral.
Could. I mean, the title, you're onto it right there. The title itself, like skiing in Afghanistan, it's going psycho. You're getting a million views, but it's a fine line between death and views, dude.
I guess if there was still an American occupation and you did some deal with the Defense Department and you're like, let's make it look like, let's entice people to continue to invest in Afghanistan.
So I'm not going to lie. We looked into it a little bit because
Afghanistan?
We went to Uzbekistan, which was kind of, it sparked the curiosity. Like, how gnarly is this place? Super gnarly, by the way.
Uzbekistan?
Really? No, Afghanistan. Uzbekistan is great.
When you looked into it, how much gnarlier was it?
It's gnarly for sure, but it's trippy because it's kind of like the Taliban is a straight government. They have an embassy, I think, in Copenhagen, Denmark.
What?
And if you go to Afghanistan, the rule is you have to go to the embassy, register with the Taliban, and then you're good. Because you got those boys backing you, and you're like getting shuttled through. But the second you lose your Taliban brother, apparently it's gnarly. So you got to stick with your guy. But yeah, obviously Taliban's just essentially a super corrupt form of government, if I understand right. I'm not that educated on it, so I don't know. But
wait, what was the other movie? It came out the same time as Alex Honnold's film. It was about his buddy, his really good friend who
Alpinist.
No, it wasn't the Alpinist. It was another one. They actually both climbed the I can't believe I'm forgetting it. It was a great movie, but they I think maybe that's what they got kidnapped in, I think, in one of those countries because they were climbing Imagine just being out in the middle of nowhere in a mountain and then just you're surrounded by,
So heavy.
people in the Taliban or something. You get kidnapped.
That brings up an interesting thing, because if you were to get kidnapped hypothetically and you made it, that video would be the most viral thing ever. But that's the
How
thing.
is it worth it though? Are you on HBO or are you on YouTube?
Dude, it's not worth it. And this is where we've like kind of pivoted. Is like, dude, our girl videos do really good. We can go to these like clubs and just hang out and have a safe, good time, and everybody
Did you guys
loves
go to
it.
Australia?
No, we haven't been to Australia yet. That's on the list though. We want to really do that tour for sure.
I think Australia is good because you have anything that's cute
Yeah.
or dangerous, they both will kill you.
Sure.
I mean, there's tons of girls down there for sure. The surf's epic.
Yeah.
Great whites everywhere.
Sick.
And the country's massive.
Yeah, I know. That's a good one
You
for
guys could
views and
reenact,
thumbnails, isn't it?
what was that Kangaroo Jack movie?
Oh, dude. You could get into some funny stuff there. It'd be really funny. But I mean, it is such a true topic of like
Where's the line?
Where's
Yeah.
the line? Where do you draw it? And we try to be as safe and actually like as stupid as we look in a lot of the stuff we do. We
I
actually
still don't
assessing.
understand the kayak off the ramp in the
Yeah,
snow.
that one's like
so
gnarly,
looking
but
pull.
like we made sure it's soft and you know, there's only so much. I mean, you're in a kayak going off a jump, so like there's only so much you can do. But you just made sure it's soft and was smart as you could be about it. But like you were telling me, kayak into Jaws.
Oh no,
like-
sub-squatch into it.
Yeah, but then you hit me up and you're like, dude, we gotta take the kayak into Jaws. And I was like,
I'll
bro,
tow you in.
I don't know about that one.
Keyword, I will tow you in. I
Yeah,
won't be
no.
on with you.
Yeah.
I don't know about that, dude. But it's such a funny thing. It's such a fine line. And like, I don't know. We try to do stuff we actually genuinely want to do. Kayak's pretty fun. Horrifying, but it is fun. And
Was it
after you're done with
inflatable?
Inflatable all the way. We're strictly inflatable. Don't bring a hard kayak, dude.
That would hurt.
No.
Was there any stunts where you felt like you were just completely out of control? Like, this is kind of gnarly right now?
For sure. And it always is that fucking kayak, because the other one was the inflatable heli-kayaking. Did you guys ever see that video?
Yeah,
It
that
kinda
one was
flopped.
awesome.
And this is a good example of like, dude, the concept was so gnarly, but it was too hard for people to grasp. It
Explain
didn't do
it
good.
exactly.
Inflatable heli-kayaking.
What is a heli-kayaking?
I see exactly. I think we titled the video "World's Most Extreme Sledding," which is a good title. It's the best way to do it.
But is
Anyway,
it like a type of
dude?
sled or whatever?
We went heli skiing in an inflatable kayak.
Oh, got it.
So we like, and it was the stupidest idea. It was actually like we all thought we were gonna die this day, and we all looked
I
at each
remember
other.
that video, but how steep those lines are,
Dude,
and
it
you're
was
like
so messed up.
going 80 miles an hour,
It was
100 miles an hour
actually
down it.
so gnarly.
Was
like,
that the one where you like wheelied over?
there was the wheelie run, the straight shoot that was
Did
super
that
fast.
flop? I thought that video was insane.
It relatively did.
What's
flop.
a flop for you?
At the time, that video was like, I think it was a 9 out of 10, 8 out of 10, which for people that don't watch YouTube, you get a ranking on your last 10 videos. The closer you are towards 10 is bad relatively.
Oh, so
this video
you
was
want to
a-
be
You want to be a 1, 2, 3,
really?
4. Those are like performing better than your
Whoa,
videos at this
okay.
time. Okay. So this video is like a 7, 8, 9, or 10, which was just such a bummer for how gnarly it was. And I think at the time it ended up capping at 200,000 views, which is sweet. We're psyched on that. But now over time it's grown, and I think it's getting more traction because it's actually so nuts.
people look back.
People
on
are
it,
looking back
or
on
gets
it,
in a
or it's getting
recommended
shared
page,
maybe.
yeah.
But anyway, dude, yeah, it was really messed up. I mean, we got in a helicopter and essentially we're just buzzing around Revelstoke, Canada, which is like one of the gnarliest places you can go in the first place for backcountry skiing. And we were just
Is it just because of the unstable snowpack? Is it because of the
lines
terrain?
there, the terrain there.
A lot
is
of
like,
rocks,
this
a lot
is
of
where
trees.
Sammy Carlson's living and filming his parts, and like this
If
is
he's
like,
living there, it's like Jamie living across that pipe.
dude, it's the Mecca. It's like one of the Meccas,
Wow,
right?
wow.
And so we went there because we're like, yeah, we're gonna go inflatable kayak to Mecca, dude. So we get there and the freaking it was just another red flag was the fact that there was all this pressure, and you guys have probably felt this before. There's this pressure of like having the budget from a company, renting a helicopter, and now you're there. And you're like, helicopter's blades are spinning. You're at the top of this mountain with an inflatable kayak looking down at like, I don't think we should do this, but I feel like I have to because we're paying so much for this helicopter and this brand deal's on the line. And so there was like a lot of this added pressure to that video that I think made the danger go higher than it should have.
Wow.
And we ended up only doing 3 lines that day, but they were all so messed up. The snow was like icy too in the morning. It was like straight up. Like if those boys would have flipped on the wheelie, it could have been really bad. You can hypothesize as much as you want, but like it was the type of snow that was iced over in the morning. You could punch it to crack through the hole, but it was like all an icy glaze.
Oh, that's why you guys are going so fast.
So that one went really fast. Then by middle of the day, it was like corn snow. A massive avalanche went off like pretty close to us behind us, but we had a guide and we were smart on that front. But still, like you're in the middle of the mountains, avalanches are popping. You're already
Were you
so
scared of ever overshooting where you were going to go, or you just picked the line?
No, we picked lines that went into lake beds. That was like critical. We couldn't like go off a cliff or something.
Yeah,
so we
yeah.
made sure the lines went somewhere. But then the last run we did, I was in the kayak with Will and Max, or Will and Forrest. And we wanted to do a shoot, and it was like a proper rock shoot, like kind of a gnarly line you'd ski.
Yeah, totally.
And it was like, dude, we suspended the kayak from a rope that was like tied to a tree. So the kayak was like vertical on the slope, and we had to get in the kayak while it was hanging from the tree and then pull a release.
Gosh.
And the rope wouldn't pull. So we're stuck in this kayak on this like vert slope trying to pull it and won't pull. The guide has to come. He rips it. And then we're like buzzing the rock wall. And then there was this avalanche debris down at the bottom that we had to dodge. Ended up making it through the line, and I throw up this peace claim like, yes, we survived. And then seconds after, there's these like rollers that we couldn't see, and it was all blended. And we launch off one, land, and it trampolines us out, and then it rolls off another roller, and we probably got launched like, dude, it was probably like, you could see the mark we landed. It was probably 70 feet to the land point. It was like, boom, zoo, and we went over a hill. Somehow we all perfectly landed on our backs. Like I did a front flip, landed on my back. Will does like a freaking cork 7, lands on his back, and Forrest gets launched straight to his back, and we all land perfect. And we're just like, holy shit, miracle. And that video right there made us go, it's a fine line, and we need to make sure we're doing it smart, because we pushed it with that one. But it's good to have those moments, I think. Yeah. You know?
But so was it almost a relief when that first sort of lifestyle or girl video popped off, and you were like, oh, thank God we don't have to keep pushing the limit of like going off jumps and shit.
For sure. I think that was like one of the happiest we've all ever been, because it's like a risk that the first time we take, and you guys, this is something interesting for you guys to try. One day, if you get inspired to try another video or something that's like out of your niche, go for it, because we did it too. And we were like, only action sports, but then we're like, let's see what happens if we title a video, we asked out 12 Spanish girls. And this was our first girl video. And
a little more relatable.
Yeah, it was relatable, and we released it, and it was like a 1 out of 10 best performing video. Wow. It blew all our action sport videos out of the water, which was what we built the channel on.
Yeah.
So it was like this realization of, holy shit, these people are here for the characters, not what we're doing, which is exactly kind of the dream. And so then a lot of pivot points started to come. Now we started to do more things like Americans Go to Serbia, the girl videos, as well as mix the action sports. Because you don't want to lose the brand and what we authentically want, which is action sports mainly. But at the same time, we're in our 20s traveling, and there's that aspect of the world that's cool to people too and fun for us. So it's nice to not have to risk it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, geez. And then how is I feel like group YouTube channels are notoriously difficult. It's just not just yourself. There's just so much else at play. Like you've seen with Nelk. I don't know if you've seen Good Golf.
Yeah.
But it's always like this constant thing where members are leaving and new ones coming in. You guys have stayed really consistent. How do you think you've been able to keep that sort of camaraderie through it all?
I think we're lucky. I think I'm really lucky with my friends. Everybody is like so chill and such good people. And at the end of the day, I think everybody realizes that we're friends here. This is like, put that first.
Friends first.
Friends first, and it's always scary going into a business with friends. But we also hashed out an operating agreement before the thing even started. We all pay everyone equal, because I think, it's like there's people that are going to do more work. And that's inevitable. But the part of the dream to have happen, that's the only way it can be. Because if you start having pay differentials, all of a sudden it's like, that's when problems start. But if everybody's equal, all of a sudden it's like, what do you have to fight about? There's no problems. We're all in the same dream together.
Yeah, it's so smart to have the operating agreement just to spell everything out at the start. There's no
shit happens,
confusion. I mean, not even just that, but just so everybody kind of is on the same page right away.
Right.
You know, even though you're best friends and you'd have each other's backs or whatever, but just going into it, just having that roadmap and being like, this is the expectations for the channel. I feel like I'd imagine like just having that clear path was probably a big part
for sure.
of it.
The clarity was huge. And then with payments, yeah, that's been a big one. And I think also it's just everybody's like recognizes how lucky we are and how rare this is and how cool it is that at the end of the day we can all be friends. I mean, we're now like fucking brothers that can't stop fighting each other. We're more like little sisters that are just pulling each other's hair 24/7, but it's always about stupid stuff. It's never stuff that matters.
And it makes for great content
Makes
too.
for great
Like,
content.
What,
It's
the
90% of our
argument,
videos
the
is fighting.
argument in the 100-foot kayak jump is so funny. That was almost like a highlight of that video.
That's
It's just
awesome.
arguing over how to build a jump.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
so
right.
funny.
It's always stuff
pretty
like that.
I've experienced a little bit of jump building with snow, and its tensions get really high around building jumps in the snow. Surprisingly,
Oh,
like,
it's a core community, dude.
when
I
you're
don't even
building
mess
a
with it.
proper jump, like people, it's like tensions are high. Do not mess up. Do not get in the way. You know,
No.
it's. I could not believe it. Honestly, it was. I mean, you
Tell
have
me
to
about
make a
that
jump.
story. Where were you at?
Oh, it was in Alaska,
Yeah.
and it was with Travis Rice, and we were doing a Red Bull thing for Life of Kai, the series that I did with
Yeah,
them.
it was sick.
And no, like when Travis locked in to like building a jump, and he was building a specific jump, and also I think he was building it for me to try to hit and do a double on a snowboard, but he was also hitting it so he could go 15 feet farther, 20 feet farther, and do like, I don't know, just one of his crazy rotations that he does.
Right.
And it started off with like, oh, we'll just do a quick ramp, you know, and I didn't think you needed that much ramp to actually do a double, really, you know. It's like, oh, you don't, maybe you need like a 5-foot kicker, and if you go really fast, you'll this thing, we were doing it in 4 hours in, the ramp was like 15 feet tall. And I was like, it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And at that point, Travis had his shirt off because it was like hot. And you know, when you're working in the snow, you're like,
You get toast.
so everyone was like basically shedding off skin. And, you know, the film crew, if they were in the way, they were getting yelled at because it was like, because you pick snow from a specific area and then you make those cubes and you kind of stack it up and then you know, pound it down and whatever. And it was, the worst part about that experience was the ramp was so big, it looked like you'd end up into oblivion. Like it just had, you know,
they
big
kick
mountains.
you into the sky.
Well, it just, you know how like if you go to Alaska or any of these big mountains, there's the rollover.
Rolls over, yeah.
And so like I'm not used to the rollover because I snowboard like a total of 7 times in my life up to that point. But I'm in AK with Travis Rice, thinking it's a good idea. Like, hey, like I'd love to snowboard Alaska with Travis Rice. Easy to watch the videos, and then you 45-degree mountain and you're like can't see your line and you just see the bottom. And now I'm with Travis. He's building a kicker I saw in Art of Flight, and it's like the rollovers 2,000 feet to a river below. And I'm like, do you just hit it and just die?
Yeah.
And it was the way he built it was perfect because it had like actual roll on the other side. So if you came up short, you wouldn't. The consequences weren't there. It was pretty perfect.
Right.
But at the time, you're just like, and he's like, oh, you should hit it first because you know it's clean snow. It'll look better for the shot. And I'm like, no, you go first. I just want to see if it's possible.
How it works. Yeah.
And that was funny because you had to hit it. I had to go as fast as I've ever gone on a snowboard, which is pretty standard for a pro.
Sure.
But for me, it was like fish out of water. I was like, okay,
sketchy.
as fast as I could go, try not to G out at the bottom, like get that compression, and then hit it and then toss a double. And I ended up having a problem where I was like going 2 1/4, almost 2 1/2. And it was like, okay, you got to actually time it. But it's hard when there's like the pressure of cameras and you have like only so many hits you can do before it ruts out and then you land in a hole. And my best one, I landed in a rut and kind of like landed on my tail. And
It's like wheelie pop, and then you went, right?
And made
I saw
it,
this episode. It was
but
sick.
if there was, you know, a clean bit of snow, I would have just, I think, landed it perfect and been like dry.
Right.
But I had already rutted it out from just like trying to figure it out. So it's the best experience ever. But yeah, I could see how arguments could start around building ramps, especially when you're like at altitude and you're just
You're
like
just so
5
over it,
hours
dude.
into like building a giant ramp. I'm like, I'm going to die.
Yeah, totally. And that Kai was that same way. That thing looked like it went into oblivion with the rollover idea. So I totally hear what you're saying there. And I can't believe I was watching that episode too. You got caught in a little avalanche. Yeah. You got through.
Yeah, no,
That's
I mean,
so gnarly.
it opened my eyes to the big mountain, not because of the consequences of it, because I already knew you could die. Because it was like when we were flying up, he's like, "Oh, just don't go too far left because it's a 400-foot cliff. Don't go too far right because there's a 200-foot cliff, and then don't go down the middle because you'll create an avalanche. So you kind of want to go at an angle, and then those pillows, you got to hit those pillows, but they're really close to those cliffs, and it sounds fine. Okay, straightforward. Hit the pillows, but then you get up there and there's a rollover, so you don't know where your next move is. And I'm like, am I going too far right? Am I going too far left? And so that one in particular, it was the best part of the whole trip because once the avalanche started, I was back in my comfort zone of Jaws, where you have to be top notch in the moment because you have no choice. You're forced there, and it's not like I'm scared. I'm going to hold back a little bit. It's full. So that one, I just was like, I put the gas pedal on. I was like, there's only one way out of this, and it's as fast as I can go.
That's so
And so then I went off a little pillow, and I actually did the biggest pillow drop I did up to that point in the trip. Landed, and I was just like, I just got to go as fast as I can. And there was like some other avalanche debris at the bottom. And I just was like, I'll go to there because I obviously mellows out. So maybe I'll only get buried to my waist. It wasn't a very big one. But then I hit that all that debris, and it's all ice, and I exploded. But I had gotten out of the way. Yeah. And my favorite part was, the Red Bull team manager, Jake, was like, where's Kai? Where's Kai? Like on the radio, and everyone's like, we can't see him. We can't see him. And I purposely, like, because I'm a practical joker most of the time, I purposely didn't get on the comms for like a couple seconds because I wanted
a heart attack.
Just the suspense.
So fucked up.
The suspense. Because I was obviously fine, but I was like, yeah, I'm good. Like,
poor Jake, dude.
He's just like
tripping
because his job was on the line, obviously.
For sure, huh? Damn, dude, that's so heavy. That's my biggest fear in life is avalanches, and we've been lucky enough to, dodge them.
I have the utmost respect for them. I mean, the mountains to me was like the most dangerous, gnarly thing. I was like, I think a couple weeks after, maybe it was the next week, I went to Chopu, and it was like a big swell. It was really hyped. So there was like 40 skis out there. There was like 100 people trying to surf. And I felt so comfortable and safe. Really? I was just like, my first wave, I got towed in way too deep and got closed out on. And I wasn't even worried. I got rolled around, and I was like, yeah, let's do it again. The hardest part was just simply getting a wave there. But it was just funny.
That's crazy.
Because Chopes, I felt safe. I was like,
that's crazy.
The mountains felt 10 times
It's
scary.
gnarly out there. It freaks me out every time we go back. But I've never done shit like that. That's pretty nuts, dude.
I literally every day, I was like, this could be it. Like, I can't remember being this. The only time was like first few sessions out of Jaws, going to Nazaré for the first few times at same level. But this was like 5 consecutive days. And I was like, everyone prays that it's supposed to be sunny up in the mountains, right? And we had the only 5 bluebird days, best days of the year. And I'm like, can it be cloudy today? Because I think we got the shot.
Yeah, I remember.
He's like, let's go.
Yeah, we were on the phone, and you said, I've never been more scared in my entire life. And I don't think I've ever heard you say you were scared. And I've been in some really crazy situations with you before, and you're like, oh, it's minor, just go for it.
So
I'm pretty
funny.
sure now, if I were to go back, those same situations wouldn't be. But it's like the fear of the unknown,
right?
Not knowing, never experiencing what rollover was. No one told me about that.
Yeah.
And so that's why when I watch your guys' snow videos, I just shake my head because it's out of my comfort zone. I'm just I was like, if they asked me to be in a video, I would say no to that,
That's so funny to hear from you, dude. It's cool because obviously, like, the way you guys are in the water is like the most inspiring thing for us. And so to have that, level of respect for fucking inflatable kayak.
That's gnarly.
You know what it is? The inflatable kayak is just no control. And weird because surfers, I feel like oftentimes we're in and out of control scenarios, but we like to think we're in control.
Sure.
Until you're completely not. And I've had this conversation with a bunch of guys, Nathan and everybody, and it's like surfers, big wave surfers in particular, hate being out of control. And I'm like, we're doing the most out of control thing. Yeah. But there's a comfort level because we spent, a good chunk of your life getting to that point. Whereas snow trip, I'm like, okay, this was my 7th trip ever to snowboarding. And here I am in AK. Probably skipped a few steps because I've always abided by the rule, like, it's baby steps to get to these
all the
points.
way. Right.
In my defense, I thought we were going to go to Alaska because Laird had gone to Alaska in all his old videos, of him like, it was inspired to ride the big mountains the same way he rides big waves or whatever. And I was thinking we were going to get these nice open faces, but
he took you to
Travis, I think, first run we did was natural selection quarterfinals. And the last time he hit that, he got knocked out unconscious because he hit a rock with the back of his head. Granted, he's doing like a switch 5 for 80 feet, but he had like the same helmet. He's like, yeah, this is a helmet. I hit my head. I have to rebait this line. And there's just a chunk missing out the back. I'm like, you can get a new helmet. He's like, oh, I'm just, kids, pretty busy lately. And I'm like, oh my God. I watched him rebate that line. It was incredible. Whoa. But if you watch his edit from not last year, but actually it came out at the beginning of last year, January time, that entire segment from Alaska, because he was up there 2 weeks before and he got skunked. And I think one of the reasons why he came back up was because there was another chance of making his edit for Red Bull Snow. So look at Red Bull Snow YouTube channel, but I'm literally standing to the side of everything he's doing.
So you did the gnarliest of the gnarliest lines.
Well, there's the gnarliest lines, and then there's the mellow line on the gnarliest line. So I'm like to the side, but it's just funny because I'm like watching the video, the edit came out, and I was like, gosh, I was standing right there, like to the side, or I was like going down here, and there was only like I think one shot in there that I didn't do, and it was the last line of the trip, and it required like, you have to be one of the best snowboarders in the world, alien. He rode like the spine that was like death on both sides. And then the whole thing avalanched and he pulled under the cliff at the bottom and it waterfalled on both sides. And then in order to get out of there, he had to jump a 10-foot wide crevasse at the bottom because it was all layering the bottom of the mountain. And he's like, you want to try it? It's the last run of the trip. I'm like, this is when it all goes wrong.
Yeah.
Last run of the trip, I see crevasse, 10 feet wide. I don't know the speed I need. And then I also see like 45-degree spine and definitely avalanche territory. And he's like, you would have to go first because the line for the shot, because he's like a filmmaker. And he's like, oh, we don't want my track in it. And I'm like, I want your track in it.
Yeah, he wants the clean mountain. Oh, God. That's heavy, dude.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's so sick, though.
Yeah. Well, what's next for Sickos? What's the next phase? Keep doing what you're doing, or more traveling, or what's the plan?
More girl videos.
That's a good question.
Just girl videos. Yeah.
Hopefully, we stay safe. Yeah, somehow.
Tour videos.
Do that.
The girl tour.
Yeah, the girl. That's a good one. No, I think our
Nathan has a slab tour. You got the girl tour.
Yeah, right. And maybe we'll
but you have a girlfriend.
I have a girlfriend. Forrest got one. Caden's got one. So it'd be like the 3-man girl tour. But
what happens if they get
the wingman tour?
Then it's over, dude. Then we're like, what are we doing? Yeah, we're going to we're going to
marriage tour.
Know. Yeah, marriage tour. I guess. Huh? That's hilarious. But no, I don't know. Our plans are probably to. Every single kind of season, we just plan it by seasons. Like spring, we go for travel. Hood, we're at home in the summers, and then fall we travel, and then winter we travel. And so now we're in that transition. Do you have a set amount of
videos that you're targeting?
No, honestly, not really. We actually shifted our mindset to like instead of releasing as frequently as we can, like a strict 7 days, make the video as good as it can be. Mm-hmm. So if it takes 10 days as opposed to 7, that's okay. If it takes 12 as opposed to 10, as long as you're like consistently working on it, making it better and better and better.
At least there's like at one point something's gonna drop.
Yeah. It's like never let it go more than 2 weeks. Everyone starts freaking out, But
they're like, did they die?
Yeah, exactly.
Did they get married?
Did they get married? Are they over it?
Yeah.
No, but I think we're just right now. We got one more trip in the bank probably, and then it's Hood River Summers, and we don't even know where that trip is.
Pretty
exactly
exciting to be home and just
super exciting. It's the easiest videos we make. Everybody's happy to be home. We get devices that come to our doors that are like shipped from Alibaba, and we go test them in the water and stuff. And it's just like fun and chill, and everybody's having a great time. And then by the end of that, everyone's ready to travel again. So we just got to keep doing the same thing we're doing. We're really happy with how it's going, and I think there's there's that level of like spontaneity where we don't really know because we want those opportunities to be open. We want to be able to strike a video if someone says they have an idea. So we try to not plan too far, honestly, but that's the blueprint.
Yeah, and you guys are smart too. You're backlogged a little bit, and that's why
backlogged right now.
You're able to cruising. Yeah,
how many videos are in waiting?
Yeah, we got like 5 in the bank right now.
Wow,
the boys are actually filming right now. They just filmed a video with Zeb Powell, the snowboarder.
Sick.
Yesterday. Zeb taught him how to knuckle huck, and I've been in Maui just hanging with you guys, cruising.
Just
so
on
sorry,
vacay.
boys, on vacay mode.
That's fine.
But then after this video, they're all going on vacay mode, and everybody's hanging because we got 5 videos in the bank, and it's working from anywhere. Nice. So it's cool. It's a cool program.
That's epic.
Yeah.
And when you have them like that, would you do weekly, or would you do 10 days, or would you do 2 weeks, or would you just... feel it out?
If I had to change, or now that we have them in a
now
backlog,
that you have 5 backlog.
it's smart to do them weekly if you have them backlogged. It's hard to pull it off because we've got 3 people editing from different places in the world, and it's hard to like all connect.
So they're still being edited.
They're still being edited. Yeah. We don't have them ready to go. We just have the footage.
You just have the content,
and then we edit on a weekly basis, sort of. But yeah, I mean, we got them there, so we'll try. I mean, if we can hit 7 days, it's clutch. It's definitely the fastest route to growth, but I don't want to do it at the expense of a video being worse. So
is it true? I mean, you told me this, but I still want to double check if it's true. But you said you spend 20 hours up to on the thumbnail?
Yeah, so this is super, super crazy YouTube nerd stuff, but we learned like the importance of the title thumbnail is like just as important of a video. You have the best video in the world, but if the title thumb isn't interesting, no one's going to click on it. And so there's this level of realization like, oh my God, you got to make this either super understandable, come up with a concept that actually people are interested in. And if you come up with that, make it really understandable and good. And so that's where like, and you listen to anyone, Mr. Beast, any real YouTuber is going to tell you how important a thumbnail is. And it's insane, dude. It's like,
well, I see the thumbnail sometimes changes, like
we
up
change
to 5
them.
times.
We change them all the time because you get data on what's working, the percentages, the click-through rate, all that stuff, and it all matters so much. Click-through is like everything, you know. If people click on your video, then you at least got them to watch, and then it's how long they watch. And we're confident in the way we edit our videos that if we get someone to click, you know, maybe they're either going to be interested in it or not. But main thing's get them to click. So like, yeah, dude, we got Charlie and Will are on thumbnails like dedicated. And they're spending almost as much as an edit takes just on the freaking little picture. Jeez. And it's that important. It really is. Because otherwise, what's the point of doing the edit if no one's going to click on it? So it's weird, but.
And then you and Caden are editing?
Me, Caden, Max edit. Okay. Charlie will do the thumbnails. Forrest is just starting to get into his groove of working, and he's doing great now. He's starting to rough cut the edits. He's doing TikTok. But before that, he was pretty much full-time. I don't want to say actor. He's very authentic, but he was a full-time authentic for us. He was himself, paid to be himself.
That's sick. And that,
he has the easiest gig.
Yeah.
He's
like probably a master at it. And he's like, yeah, I've never edited a video before.
Yeah. Well, you know what? He scammed me too. When we first were starting Sickos, he was like, oh, I film. Like we hired him to be our filmer in the first season of Sickos. We thought that like he was going to be the film grom of the whole thing. Turns out he'd never filmed before. Told me he did. Then absolutely.
Kind of did what you did to Jamie.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit. And then he did 30,000 ISO on our first shoots, which makes like the picture all grainy, you know?
Oh,
I was like, dude, what? I thought you filmed. He's like, yeah, I do. And then I had to like explain him all the basics. And then we fired him. And then we realized he's gold as a human. And long story, but
you're done.
That's how he's in. Yeah.
No, come back.
So funny.
Dang.
But yeah, boys, freaking so sick to talk to you guys. I feel so bad. I'm getting called in my pocket for this flight.
Yeah,
no, you gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was
I feel super bad, but
no, you're out of here. Back to Hood.
Well, hopefully not. I actually might stay. I might skip the flights and stay. And if we do, I'd love to hang with you guys, go for some wings and get after it. But I literally have like 3 hours to decide. A buddy hit me up and was like, stay in my place. And so I'm
not a
tempted.
bad call.
Yeah,
I know. I'm out here. So I'll let you guys know. But
let me know for sure. Let us know
what the plan is. So
yeah.
They're kind of tripping right now. My pocket's going off.
And you know,
bad.
Most dads like to be at the airport 4 hours ahead of time.
Oh, for sure. He's tripping out. We got a U-Haul, dude, to rent the gear. We got to go clean that thing. He's like all nuts, but
that's awesome. Sick. Well, thanks, Jackson. That was awesome.
Yeah, guys, great to talk. That was sick.
Can't wait for the next videos.
Hell yeah. Thank you, boys. You too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you.